It's almost midnight. You're finally in your bed. Your body is really tired, but your mind isn't. You are replaying a conversation that happened hours ago. Maybe one sentence, one look, one small mistake, and somehow your mind turns that one moment into a story about who you are. So you tell yourself, stop thinking about it. I've already done this 100 times, right? But the more you try to stop, the louder your thoughts become. And you wonder, saying, did I say something wrong? What did they think about me? Why do I do this all the time? And before you actually realize, you're no longer thinking about the actual conversation. You're questioning yourself. Maybe overthinking isn't your pattern, right? Maybe your pattern is saying yes when every part of you wanted to say no. Or maybe it's doubting yourself just before any kind of big opportunity, or could be constantly trying to make everyone happy. You see, the pattern looks different for everyone, but the feeling underneath is often the similar ones. And if at any part of these feels familiar to you, I want you to stay with me till the end, because by the end of this video, I just don't want you to understand what keeps happening. I want you to understand why does it happen. And once you see that, you will never look at yourself the same way again. You see, for years, I thought I had lots of different problems. Some days it was overthinking, some days it was self-doubt, sometimes it was a feeling of anxiety, feeling really anxious about making even a simple decision. And each one felt like a separate struggle. So naturally, I looked for separate solutions like we all do. If I was overthinking, I would watch videos about overthinking. If I wanted more confidence, I would read books about confidence. If I felt overwhelmed, I would search ways to overcome stress. And honestly, those things helped, right? But only for a while. Until life happened again, meeting with a client, sometimes a difficult conversation at home, new opportunity, small mistake, different situations, different people, different circumstances. But somehow the same emotional response always felt familiar. And that's when something really caught my attention. You see, it wasn't that life was giving the same problem all the time. It was that I kept experiencing the same feeling. And I remember thinking, hang on, this can't be just about overthinking. Neither can it be just about confidence, right? There has to be something underneath all of this. And that one thought completely changed the way I started looking at personal growth. And instead of asking, how do I stop overthinking? I became really curious about something. What is my mind trying to protect me from? And that question led me to a completely different path. And it's the same question that I explore with every client that I work with. I'm curious to know from you, have you also noticed this in your life? Different situation, but somehow the same emotions keep coming up. Different workplace, but the same self-doubt. Different relationship, but the same fear of not being enough, right? Different opportunity, but the same hesitation. Different people, different environments, but your emotional response feels familiar. If that's happened to you, I want you to know something. Number one, you're not imagining it. And number two is you're definitely not alone. In fact, this is one of the most common things that I see in most of my coaching practice. Now, let me tell you something that I've experienced regarding this with one of my recent clients. She's a working professional, absolutely smart, hardworking. Everyone respects and trusts her. And from outside, she looks very confident, right? And people appreciate her work. And if you meet her, you would probably think, oh my God, she's got everything together. But when she sat with me, the very first thing she said was, I know I'm capable, I'm confident. So why does this one small mistake make me question everything about myself? And that caught my attention because I've heard different versions of it so many times. Not just from clients, but from people from different areas of my life. People who are doing really well, but secretly inside them, they feel like they're never quite enough. And followed by a few weeks later, the same client had a meeting with her manager. And at the end of the meeting, her manager just said, you see, your presentation looks really good. There's just one area that I would like to improve. Hear me out, okay? And that conversation lasted less than 2 minutes. But by the time she reached home, she had replayed those 2 minutes at least 50 times. Her mind wasn't hearing, here's one area to improve. Her mind was hearing, you're not good enough. You've let them down. Or they're not going to realize that you're as capable as they think. And she couldn't switch it off. Not because she wanted to overthink, right? But because something much deeper had been activated. And during one of our conversation, I just happened to ask her, has this feeling showed up in any other areas of your life? She went quiet for some time, right? And then slowly she smiled and started talking about her school, university, her first job. You see, different people, different situation, different years, but the exact same feeling. The fear of not being enough, the need to prove herself, the pressure to get everything right. And that's when both have kind of realized that the manager's feedback wasn't creating the emotion. It was activating a pattern that had been there for years. And this is where everything started making sense, right? Because what if the situation isn't creating your emotional reaction? What if it's simply waking up a pattern that your mind has learned long time ago, right? Now think about that for a second, because if that's true, it changes everything. It means the problem isn't always the meeting, nor the conversation or the relationship, neither the opportunity, right? And sometimes those moments simply shine a light on the pattern that was already there for a long time. And I have to tell you that this was one of the biggest shifts that I've ever had, because for many years I kept trying to control what was happening around me, which I could see. I thought if people appreciated me, if nobody criticized me, if I become more confident, then I would finally feel different. But that's not what happened, right? Life changed, jobs changed, people changed, even I changed. Yet some emotional reactions were still following me. And once I understood why, I stopped blaming myself. I became really curious instead. And that's something that I love about NLP. It teaches us to become curious about our experience instead of being critical of ourselves. Not like, why am I like this? Why this is happening to me? But how did my mind learn to respond this way? And those are two completely different conversations. One creates shame and the other creates understanding, right? Now this one, what I'm going to share is really interesting. I love this. Imagine that you've been wearing a pair of glasses, same pair of glasses every single day for years and years. And after a while, you stop noticing the glasses, right? You simply believe that this is what the world looks like. Our emotional patterns work in a very similar way. If over time your mind has learned, I have to get everything right to be accepted, then even a small mistake can feel much bigger than they actually are. If your mind learns, I shouldn't disappoint people, then saying no can feel really uncomfortable, right? And if your mind has learned that I need other people's approval to feel confident, then even one person's opinion can suddenly feel more important than your own opinion. And after repeating these responses again and again, they begin to feel automatic. And because they feel automatic, it's easy to mistake them for your personality. That's why people often tell me that I'm just an overthinker, I've always been like this, I'm not just a confident person. And every time I hear that, I ask, what if that's not who you are? What if it's simply the way your mind has learned to respond? Because there's a big difference. A personality says that this is who I am. A pattern says this is what I have practiced, right? And anything that has been practiced can be practiced differently. And I find this incredibly powerful because it means that change does not begin by becoming a different person. It begins by understanding yourself more deeply, right? And I also want to be honest with you. Understanding a pattern does not mean that it will disappear overnight. We all are human. There will still be moments where old reaction shows up. The difference is once you recognize the pattern, you have a choice. Instead of getting pulled into it automatically, you can pause. You can notice what's happening inside you, and you can respond more intentionally. And over time, those small moments begin to add up. And that's how you start experiencing the shifts. Through awareness, through practice, through new experiences, right? So next time you catch yourself, my friend, thinking, doubting yourself, or taking something really personally, do not rush to ask, how do I stop this? Instead, pause for a moment, take one slow breath, and ask yourself, what story am I telling myself right now? What meaning have I attached to the situation? And is there another way to look at it? You don't have to find the perfect answer. The goal is not to judge, but simply to notice. Because every change begins with awareness. And that's why I have created my 2-day inner shift workshop. And this video will help you to recognize the pattern, but recognizing it's just the first step, right? And if you've spent years trying to change your reactions without understanding what's driving them, then this workshop is meant for you. Over the 2 days, we will explore the unconscious patterns that may be shaping your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, right? Using some powerful practical tools and exercises that we will be exploring inside the workshop. So if while watching this video, you found yourself thinking, this is exactly what I'm experiencing, then I would love to work with you. The link is in the description below. So click on the link and I will send you inside. And before you go, one question. What's that one reaction in your life that you wish that you understood better? Leave it in the comments because I read every one of them. And your answer genuinely helped me create videos around the struggles that you're experiencing. Hit the like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And I will see you next time.